Hi friends, I'm Abby and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the mid-year book freakout tag and I'm so excited to film this tag. Like I love this tag. Every year when it comes around, I absolutely love it. Like it's just one of my favourite tags to watch and like to see people do and for me to come up with the answers. That I just love it. And the thing is, I remember last year, it was when I was really contemplating, I was like, do I want to start a channel? And I was like, oh, I could film the mid-year book freakout tag. And then I just didn't, and I didn't. And then we were in August and I was like, well, it's too late now, it's too late. So I never filmed it. So this is my first year doing the mid-year book freakout tag because I didn't post my first video until like September. I've just been looking forward to this like all year. I was like, I can film the mid-year book freakout tag. The first question is the best book of 2021 so far. And you know, it's hard to pick a favourite, but I think I'm gonna give this to The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. And I think it was like the experience of reading this. I vlogged my experience of it, so I have a whole vlog of me reading this. And like, I just had a lot of fun reading it and like talking to other people that have read all of the Cosmo books, finding links between this and the rest of the Cosmo and like seeing all the different like Easter eggs. And I just had a lot of fun with it. And I really like the potential with this as well. Like I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, but I feel like I'm just touching the surface of the Stormlight Archive and I'm going to get so much more when I read the rest of the books. So I feel like because of my experience reading this, because of the potential with like the rest of the series, because of finding the Easter eggs, and like I really liked the characters in this as well, like Kaladin and Shalon and Dalinar and Adolin. Like I had a lot of fun with reading this and I really liked like having that really immersive, like epic fantasy story. So I think this one is going to go into the favourite position so far. There are other ones, but I've put them into the second question, which is the best sequel of 2021. So for sequels, so I've got 2 sequels here to talk about, and these can sort of compile my like top 3 of the year so far when you add Way of Kings in. And I have A Time of Courage, which is the 3rd book in the Of Blood and Bone series by John Gwynne. John Gwynne is one of my favourite authors. I discovered him in 2020 or towards the second half of 2020, and I have since read all of his published works. I think John Gwynne as an author, as a whole, from what I've read of him, all his books are really good. Like they're all really good, but his strengths lie in his continuations and his finales. Like I would say A Time of Courage and Wrath are some of my favourite books by him because he's excellent at finishing series. He's excellent at the finale and like the build-up of everything as it accumulates. So I thoroughly enjoyed A Time of Courage. And I actually messaged John Gwynne when I finished this because I hugged the book like, oh my god, loved it. And the other continuation is A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. And I really enjoyed this. Like, I read this like 700-page behemoth in like 2-3 days. Like I could not put it down. It was so fun. Like I just eat up Sarah J. Maas's writing. I just eat it up. It's just so compulsively readable. And it wasn't my favourite book by her by any means. Like this definitely leant on the side of characters and romance, whereas I'd prefer it when she has a little bit more like plot and fantasy elements. But I just ate it up. I couldn't put it down. I loved it. Like I devoured it. And so I thoroughly enjoyed myself. So I think it has to have a spot here as best sequel because I thoroughly enjoyed myself whilst reading it. Like my experience of reading it was so fun. And reading it with other people, like that just added to the experience. So like reading it with my friends and all of us like experiencing it at the same time, it just created such a great experience. New release that you haven't read yet but want to. There are a lot. I feel as though there are so many new releases coming out this year. 2021 has given us so many books. I feel like with 2020 they like delayed some of the releases because of COVID and they're like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen, we can't do in-person launch events, let's delay things. And now we've got to 2021 and they're like, well, we've got to release anyway. And so the books are just like flooding out. They're like, there's so many books coming out, so many releases that I want to read. And it's just a bit like overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, how many books are coming out that I want to read? And yeah, it's just hard to keep up because there's so many of them. So a couple that I want to read. I really want to read The Mask of Mirrors by M.A. Carrick. And this is an author duo, and this has been sold to me. It has been sold to me by Angela from Literature Science Nights. It's been sold to me by Jessie from The Bookish Mum. It's been sold to me by Leslie from The Nerdy Narrative. Like, they have sold me on this, and I really feel like this is going to be the book for me. And so I really want to read it. Like, my expectations are really high, and I hope I haven't set them too high, but I am so excited to read this. This is like a Venetian inspired fantasy following Ren, who is like a con artist, and she infiltrates high society, and there's magic, and there's a guy called the Rook who I think I'm going to like, and I'm just really excited to read it. And the other one, so I mean there's so many of them, but another one that I'm really excited to read is Plain Bad Heroines by Emily M. Danforth, and this was sold to me by Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany. I think she sold this to me because she said it was like gothic murder mystery meets the writing style of Erin Morgenstern, and I love Erin Morgenstern's writing style. Like, she's hit and miss, but I love it, and so I feel like I am really gonna love this. And this is like set at, I think you've got multiple timelines. You have, it's set in this school, and many years ago at the school there was like a murder or series of tragic deaths, but it seemed to be the subject of a controversial horror movie as these like actors and actresses go back, and then things start like happening again, or like is the history really finished? So I am really excited to read this. It's a bit chunky, but oh, it has pictures. I think I'm really gonna love this. And your most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. Again, I've written 2 down. Too hard to decide. I have She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan, and this comes out like next month in July. And I have an arc of this, and I have to read it. I've been saying this for so long. I have an arc. I have to read it. I still haven't read it, and so I have to read it because it's literally going to be July in a few days, and it's probably July when I put this up. Like, I have to read the arc now. I have to read it before the 22nd when this book comes out. So I'm really anticipated for it. It's been marketed as Song of Achilles meets Mulan. Patrick loved it. I think I'm going to really like it, and I really like this, and I don't know if it's a theme, but like this mixing of history with fantasy. So it's inspired by the Ming Dynasty in China, and then with fantasy elements, and I just love that. I love like not necessarily historical fantasy, but like these books which are combining elements of historical fact with fantasy, like what R.F. Kuang did with the Poppy War series. So I have anticipations that I'm going to really like this. And to top it all off, Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson, the 3rd book in the Skyward series. I'm really looking forward to that, because I've loved both Skyward and Starsight, so I'm really looking forward to the 3rd book in that quartet. Biggest disappointment. So I tried so hard to pick like one book for my best books, but I have so many disappointments. Like, I'd say as a whole, a really good reading year. Like, I've enjoyed a lot of what I've read, but I have a pile of disappointments. Books, I don't know if I'm being critical, but there has been some major disappointments in here. So, Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. Problematic, not good, problematic. Like, could not finish it, could not deal with it, talk about it in my March wrap up. Do not recommend. The Archive, The Forgotten by AJ Hackworth. Talk about it in my February wrap up. I loved book 1. Loved it. The Library of the Unwritten, amazing. 5 stars. It's a standalone now in my head because this was not it. The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout. 3rd book in the From Blood and Ash series, which I love. I love From Blood and Ash. But this was 100 pages of action, 400 pages of filler, 100 pages of action. And it needed an editor. It needed an editor seriously badly. It needed to be edited because this was just so much filler and length for no reason. There we go. There are the disappointments. Biggest surprise? My biggest surprise was Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. I picked this up on a whim when I was book shopping in Oxford a few weeks ago, and I was in a reading slump. I picked it up, read the first couple of pages, and I was like, I'm sold, I'm buying it. And I went home and I read it straight away, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it was a hard read because it's following the slave trade, so it's not necessarily the easiest book to read. So you're like, oh, I think the messages of this book and like the plot and the characters, I really enjoyed myself, more so than I expected to. So this was my biggest surprise because I picked it up at random and really enjoyed it. Favourite new to you author? So I think my favourite new author, I mean, I would say John Gwynne, but I did read him in 2020, so I can't really say him again. But I think P. Jelly Clark, who has written the, what they call like the Cairo novellas. So A Dead Gin in Cairo and The Haunting on Tramcar 015 plus Ring Shout. So I've read all of those 3 books by him this year and I really, really enjoyed myself. I think I preferred the Dead Gin in Cairo and the Cairo novellas compared to Ring Shout, but I don't know if that was just me listening to the audiobook of Ring Shout. Maybe I like stunted my love of it myself by the format that I read it in. The Cairo novellas I thoroughly enjoyed and I really recommend them. Like, they gave me the feeling of David, which is a series by S.A. Chakraborty. They gave me that feeling because they were combining like the elements of like the Cairo setting with fantasy and the same sort of like Jinn, Deva, those sort of fantastical creatures. Like I love that inspiration in fantasy. So I really, really enjoyed them. I haven't read the novel yet. I haven't got to that one yet, but I am anticipating it and I'm really looking forward to reading it. So hopefully that lives up. And I do have a couple of other novellas from him to read, like the Black God Drums to read, but I think he is latest favourite. Newest fictional crush. And I don't think I've really been like crushing on anyone this year, really. I haven't really like had a big crush on a fictional character. That hasn't really happened. But I would say, not like for me, but the relationship in Winter's Orbit, I really, really like. Like, I really loved seeing the 2 main characters together, Kiem and Jainan. I was getting excited for them to be together. I was like seeing their relationship blossom. I was like, it's just so cute. It was just like the romance of cuteness. It was just beautiful to read. And this is a sci-fi, but it leans definitely on like the romance between the characters. Like, it has a mystery and a sci-fi elements, but its strength was in the characters. And so I just love seeing them come together and I was like, oh, you're just so cute. And so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed reading them. It's not like I had a crush on either of them. I just enjoyed them together as a couple. And then newest favourite character, I was having a hard time thinking about this one as well, like who my favourite characters are that I've read this year. And I don't really know. I don't feel as though any characters have like really stood out to me. I mean, I guess the characters in Way of Kings like Shalon and Kaladin, I really, really liked them as characters. I really thoroughly enjoyed reading from their perspectives. I would have liked more Shalon because I really thoroughly enjoyed her chapters. And Kaladin as well, like I was really excited to go back to Kaladin's chapters and like read more about him and the Bridge 4. So I'd say potentially the characters in The Way of Kings, because I really, really enjoyed, the characters in Way of Kings. I thoroughly enjoyed these characters. And I'm looking forward to reading like the rest of the series and like getting more and more of them. A book that made me cry. I'm not a big crier at books. I don't cry that often, but I will say that like if a book makes me cry, if a book makes me that emotional, that I've had that form of attachment to characters, then it must be a good book, because it has made me so emotionally invested. And a book that I was so emotionally invested in was A Time of Courage by John Gwynne. And I cried. Like the ending, as I said earlier, like it made me like hug the book. It made me like hug it because you're satisfied, but you're upset. These books are brutal because they're not happy books. It's a war-torn world, and so it's realistic that characters are going to die. And John Gwynne is not scared to. He's not scared to kill characters. He's not scared to. But there was a death in here that I was not expecting. I was not expecting it at all. At all. And it really hit me. And I was like, how dare you? How dare you? I was very upset. And so I messaged John Gwynne. I was like, John, I am an emotional wreck right now. How could you do this to me? And he was like, Abby, that reaction is the holy grail for an author. Like, you've made my day. I was like, no. This is not meant to make you happy. I'm upset. I'm sad. Like, why have you done this to me? So I was very emotionally... I was in emotional turmoil when I finished this. A book that made you happy. So I will say that 2 books, reading as a whole really makes me happy. Like reading in general makes me happy. And especially when I'm reading a really, really good book, I'm like, oh, you just get this feeling of like happiness. But I will say that People We Meet on Vacation, like when I was reading that, I read it for my 24-hour reading vlog. I was so happy. Like it was just like such a fulfilling experience, like reading about these characters and their romance. Like I was so happy reading that book. Like it was so fun to read. And I just flew through it because I was just rooting for the characters. Like that book made me happy. But as a whole, as a series, I've been rereading the Daevabad series. And I mean, I wouldn't say these are necessarily happy books, but I am so happy to be rereading this, and I didn't plan to reread it because I'd read the whole thing, like, but it's just a favourite. Like, I just love these books so much. I love them. I love the characters, I love the magic, I love the writing style. I cannot wait for S.A. Chakraborty to have another book out. I'm currently rereading the third book. I've been listening to them on audiobooks for the first time, and I've been enjoying that experience with them. Like, I just love these, and so just the reading of them, it's a comfort read now. Like, these are just, like, although I have moments where I'm like, no, I don't want this to happen, even though you know it's going to happen because you've already read it, but like, it's such a comfort to read these books and come back to these characters because I love them so much. The most beautiful book that you've read this year. So, I mean, getting it out again, but this hardback of Way of Kings is very, very pretty. It's very, very big, but I think that, like, as a whole, like, this is a very beautifully made book, like, with the cover, with the pictures throughout, with the chapter headings. Like, I think these books as a whole are really nicely made. Like, they're very nicely made books. Like, it's a very, very pretty book. As well, I do really like the cover on The Shadow of the Gods with the dragon and how it, like, curves around the whole book. I really like that, and that it's beautifully got a signed bookplate in it. Like, that just adds to the beauty. So those are a couple of books that I think are beautiful. What books do you need to read before the end of the year? I mean, that's just a stupid question. There are so many books that I need to read before the end of the year. Like, so many of them. I have so many books to read. I have a whole pile of books here that I need to read. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just getting ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's so many books I need to read. So I do really want to read Emma by Jane Austen. I have owned that book for years. Years and years and years. It must be like 10 years old and I still haven't read it. And I don't really, like, actively read that many classics. So I just feel like it would be really good for me to, like, read a classic, Abby. Read a classic. And Emma is the one that I really want to read. So Emma, at least if I can read one book, Emma, I want to read it. And then just in general, like, finishing series, just continuing at my goal in life to finish what I start and finish series. Question 14 is your favourite video that you've made this year. So this is a hard question because I'm really proud of myself for, like, putting out videos as a whole and, like, doing this in general, like filming videos, editing videos, like building myself up to making content as a whole and, like, putting myself out on the internet and, like, doing it. I'm really, really proud of myself because I still get nervous when I post videos. Like, I've been doing it for nearly a year now. Like, so I'm really proud of myself as a whole, but, like, as a few things that I'm especially proud of, I am really proud of my popular opinions book tag. So this was an original tag that I created, sort of flipping all of the questions from the unpopular opinions one and making the tag positive. So just talking about what we love about reading, all the books that we love. And the thing is, there's so much negativity. Like, you see the popular tags that go around BookTube. It's the unpopular opinions book tag. It's the anti-TBR tag. It's the unhauls. It's negativity. Negativity on the internet thrives. And I wanted to try and shift a little bit things to talk about things that we love. Like, why is it that negativity wins? Like, what happens to talking about things that we love? Shouldn't we, like, I don't know, shouldn't we want to watch people loving books and loving things and loving what they're reading and talking about what they love? I'm really, really proud of the idea of the popular opinions book tag and, like, the concept of it as a whole. So I'm very, very proud of that as an idea. I am also really proud of, like, all of the videos that I've done on John Gwynne, so my guide to John Gwynne, and all of the discussions that I've done with other booktubers on different channels. Like, those were so much fun to film and, like, to collaborate with them, and I'd love to do more of those. Like, those as a whole I've just had a lot of fun with, and the same with, like, doing the foreign language collaboration discussion. Like, I really like the idea of, like, highlighting what it's like to be a reader of foreign languages not necessarily on BookTube, but as a whole, like, what it's like to read in foreign languages and the discussion of what that's like. So I guess I'm most proud of those ones. But yeah, like, I'm really proud of so many of my videos. I'm proud of, like, the discussion ones as well, like my why do we seek escapism, like what makes a book YA or adult, how books differ between the US and the UK and how, like, the content is different between them. So I'm proud of so much of what I have been doing and, like, where I am now with my channel. I mean, I still definitely have doubts, but and I still definitely, like, question what I add to the community and, like, what value my videos add, but that's a whole, like, just a personal struggle that I have within myself. And I don't think that's going to be going away anytime soon. And then the 15th question is favourite book community member. And I'm not answering that. Like, I can't answer that. Like, that's just, no. The community as a whole, I love. As a whole, I love this community, and I'm not going to be naming people because that's just, it's not cruel, but like, I just don't want to. I don't want to. You can't make me pick favourites, and I'd hate to miss anyone out. So just the whole community as a whole, I'm so thankful for, and I love you all. So though that is the tag, I'm not going to tag everyone because I feel like everyone does this tag anyway. Like, this is the tag that everyone loves doing, and everyone looks forward to and enjoys. So there we go. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in my future videos. Bye!